Hey guys, Snowflake here, and welcome to my season preview for Manchester United. By now, I would have already uploaded my Galatasaray season preview, so you can go and check that out if you like. But yeah, I also really like Manchester United and want to give some time to them. So without further ado, let's get underway. So last season in the league was a disappointing one for Man United. We came 6th, missing out on the top 4 for the second year in a row. First time we've done that for a very long time. But there was a reason for that. And that was because we were busy winning pretty much everything else we were in. We won the EFL Cup first, and we also won the Europa League at the end of the season. We did start the season winning the Community Shield, as Louis van Gaal had won us the FA Cup the previous year. And we also got to the quarterfinals of the FA Cup before perhaps being unluckily knocked out by Chelsea. And of course our top scorer, who gladly is going to be back with us again, Zlatan Ibrahimovic. As you can see, not too many transfers in. I'm not even going to really count Ibrahimovic because he was with us last season. So it's Lindelof, Lukaku and Matic, and quite a few players out on loan, but also Wayne Rooney, Adnan Januzaj leaving the club permanently, well, most notably anyway. And so far this season, we played the Super Cup game. Unfortunately, we fell to a really strong Real Madrid team, but our Premier League form has been pretty outstanding. 2 4-0 wins against West Ham and Swansea, and 2-0 win against Leicester. 3 wins, 10 goals, 0 conceded. Looking good. So a quick run through last season then. So yeah, we did come 6th in the league. In fact, 7 points off the top 4, not even close to getting the Champions League, but I think it's been forgiven for everything else we've achieved. Had we not won the Europa League, probably this would have been considered a bad season as we wouldn't be playing Champions League football. But we did win the Europa League, and that is because we prioritised it over the league. Some will argue against that. That's my opinion. So yeah, we came 6th, above Everton, below Arsenal, pretty much comfortably in 6th, not really close to either side. Chelsea won the league pretty convincingly. Tottenham had a really good season as well. Man City maybe could have done better. Liverpool will be happy to get top 4. Although will they be able to manage that with European football this year? We'll see. FA Cup, well, first couple of rounds were easy. We breezed past Reading and Wigan. We had a bit of trouble against Blackburn, actually. I remember having to bring on Pogba and Ibrahimovic, who then linked up to score the winning goal. And then, of course, we played Chelsea and looked okay until Ander Herrera was perhaps harshly sent off. And Chelsea did go on to win that match and knock us out. The EFL Cup, however, did go a bit better. Well, a lot better. Fairly easy win over Northampton in the first round. Winning a Manchester derby is always good, and we did that to knock them out of a cup thanks to a goal from Mata. Easy win over West Ham, we beat them 4-1. Hull gave us a bit of trouble in the semi-final. We beat them 2-0 in the first leg, but then they did actually beat us in the second leg 2-1, but we did enough to make it to the final where, to be honest, we didn't look that good in the final. Southampton, probably the better team, but we scored the goals that mattered. A late goal by Zlatan Ibrahimovic saw us win the game. And, well, at the start of the season, we had the Community Shield. We beat Leicester 2-1 once again. A late winner by Ibrahimovic. Lingard, incidentally, also scoring in both of those games, showing how much of a Wembley specialist he is. And then Europa League. So we had a relatively tough group by Europa League standards. Fenerbahce are no slouches. Feyenoord are a pretty decent team. Zoya, Luhansk, well, were the team we were expected to beat, but even then, a trip to Ukraine, you never know. And it did turn out to be pretty tough. We ended up only coming second in the group, behind Fenerbahce after they beat us at their home 2-1. Feyenoord had also beaten us 1-0. And it's a good thing we did manage to win those last two games against Feyenoord and Zoya Luhansk to ensure we made it through to the next round. As second place team, we would have faced one of the teams that topped their Europa League group or came down from the Champions League, coming third in their group. Fortunately, we faced Saint Etienne, who didn't provide too much of a challenge. And in the round of 16, Rostov were okay. They gave us a decent run, but I don't think we were ever in huge danger of missing out. Anderlecht, however, was scary. We drew 1-1 with them away and needed extra time to beat them in the second leg at home. Big goal by Marcus Rashford to send us through there. Rashford scored again in the semi-final away to Celta Vigo. Brilliant free kick, but we almost threw it away in the second leg. It was 1-1, and I remember John Guidetti missing a golden opportunity for Celta Vigo to get them the 2-1 win and would have sent them through to the final on away goals. But he missed, and we ended up playing Ajax, who we managed to win in a fairly comfortable 2-0 victory in the end. Probably, apart from Saint Etienne, the easiest of our knockout games. Ajax never really threatened, and we got our goals early enough to not be worried. So, 3 transfers in. First of all, we signed Victor Lindelof, age 23, centre-back from Benfica, meaning Zlatan is no longer the only Swede at the club. And to be honest, he's been underwhelming so far. I mean, I've watched him play in pre-season. He's looked a little bit shaky. Of course, he needs time to settle into England and his new club, Manchester United. He hasn't actually played. Well, he played in the Super Cup. I didn't manage to watch the whole match. I don't think he did that great in that either, but he hasn't played since the Super Cup. Bailly and Jones have been in immense form, and there's no way that anyone should be benching either of those two players. But hopefully he will come good in the end. He's still young. He has time to learn. And he might get a chance in the Champions League when Bailly and Jones are suspended for our next match. Next came the big transfer. Romelu Lukaku, 24-year-old striker, £75 million from Everton. Rejected his old club Chelsea to join us, which was a good sign, and I think his friendship with Paul Pogba had a part to play in that. And he's looked the business so far. A lot of complaints were made about his hold-up play and his first touch not being that good, but honestly, so far for United, he's been perfectly fine at those things, and what we bought him for, he's doing. He's scoring regular goals. Missed a penalty against Leicester in our last game, but forgivable. We still won that match, and he's going to win more points than he's going to lose us, that's for sure. And I've been impressed by him so far. Finally, we bought Nemanja Matic. It was an absolute steal from Chelsea, £35 million. I don't even know how Chelsea considered letting him go. He's a fantastic player. Great defensive positioning, fantastic awareness, intercepts passes all the time, makes good passes, and can even dribble with the ball when he needs to. Always so calm and composed on the ball, thinks before he passes. Everything I've seen about him has been great so far, and I hope he continues. We did let go of a lot of players. Well, actually, that's a bit misleading. We let go of some players, but a lot of these are loan deals. So Joshua Harrop, who you might remember for that goal celebration in the photo, made his United debut in the last match of last season against Crystal Palace and scored actually in that match. Has been let go on a free transfer to Preston. I believe he wanted first team football, which we probably weren't going to give him. But what a good record to have, one match for Man United, 1 goal. 100% record. What can you say? What a beast. Next up, Regan Poole was loaned to Northampton. I don't know much about this guy, but that he played 1 game for under Louis van Gaal, but that's about it. Good luck to him. Hope that goes well. Wayne Rooney was then let go on a free transfer to Everton. Well, I think we should have got some money for Rooney. I think it was probably the right time for him to go. He's getting on a bit. His performances have declined over the years, and now that we have Lukaku and Ibrahimovic still in the team, then we have more than enough cover that we don't need Rooney anymore. And it's good for it. It's a really pleasing move for him to go back to his old team, I guess, the team he supported as a kid, and finish some unfinished business he had there. Right, Dean Henderson, a goalkeeper loaned out to Shrewsbury. Don't know much about him, but good luck to the lad. And then Januzaj sold for almost 10 million to Real Sociedad. To be honest, Januzaj had a lot of unfulfilled potential, and I think the main issue with him was his attitude. He had all the talent in the world. He still has it. He's 22. He can improve. But he was sent out on loans to Borussia Dortmund. Dortmund actually sent him back because they didn't want him. He went to Sunderland, didn't really impress much there, and I'm surprised Real Sociedad were willing to offer 10 million for him, but I don't see how he's going to make it at Man United. We've got players like Marcus Rashford and Andreas Pereira who started beneath Januzaj and become much better players than him in such a short space of time. Sam Johnston has been loaned out to Aston Villa. He's 24 years old now, Johnston. He's a decent goalkeeper. I watched him in pre-season for United a few times. But he's never going to be ahead of De Gea. He's never going to be ahead of Sergio Romero. And if what I'm hearing about Joel Pereira is good, then I don't see him having a future at Manchester United. But who knows? He's on loan at Aston Villa. De Gea might go to Real Madrid one day and he might become our third choice or second choice. I have no idea. Devontae Redmond, a young guy, loaned to Scunthorpe. Don't know much about him. Cameron Borthwick-Jackson, loaned to Leeds. He's an interesting player to me because he got a lot of playing time at left back for the first team under Louis van Gaal. But Mourinho hasn't given him one chance, and now he's been loaned to Leeds. I don't know. We have Shaw, Blind, and Darmian for cover at left back at the moment. But Shaw's injury prone. Darmian might leave. Blind's alright, but you never know. There could be an open spot for him in the future. We'll see how he does in Leeds. Timothy Fosu-Mensah sent out on loan to Crystal Palace. He's a player I really like. Very aggressive and physical. He's handled the likes of I've seen him handle the likes of Gareth Bale, Alexis Sanchez. He's a really strong player, and he's only going to get better. And at Crystal Palace, where he's going to be forced to defend a lot, it's going to be a really good move for him to get some solid Premier League experience. And I'm sure he'll be in the United first team in the future. And finally, we let our Uruguayan right back Guillermo Varela go on a free transfer back to Uruguay with Penarol. He got some playing time under Van Gaal as well as our right back. He looked a decent player, but I think we sent him out on loan to Eintracht Frankfurt in Germany last year. And there was an incident where he got a tattoo when the club specifically told him not to get a tattoo. And then it got infected, and then he was out injured. And that's the kind of thing that Jose Mourinho is not going to let fly. So for that reason, he was allowed to leave. Hopefully he recovers his career and gets back on the right track, but probably not at United. So, fixtures, Super Cup. Unfortunately, I missed this game, but by the sound of it, we gave Real Madrid a decent game. Well, Real Madrid were clearly the better team, as they would be probably playing against any team at the moment. I mean, they dismantled Barcelona in the Super Cup. They dismantled Juventus in the Champions League final. To lose 2-1 to them is not so bad. It was good for Lukaku to get his first goal, first competitive goal, even if he was on the losing team. But then the league started, and while we haven't played strongest of opposition, the manner in which we've won all of our games has been impressive. 4-0 win against West Ham. Lukaku started as he meant to go on. 2 two excellent finishes, you have to say. The first off was some incredible work by Matic to win the ball back, then run forward and overlap to give Rashford two options, pass to him or Lukaku. He went to pass to Lukaku, and it was a great finish past Joe Hart to give us the lead. The second goal, it was great to see us score from a set piece as he headed in a free kick from Mkhitaryan. It's a very good header as well, well guided. And then later on, as West Ham started to tire and throw some bodies forward, we managed to score a couple of goals on the counter. Mkhitaryan playing in Anthony Martial, who knows Pogba, who played the pass, I believe, to Martial. Or am I remembering that wrong? Anyway, Martial's finish was good. That's all I remember anyway, to make it 3-0. And then it was Martial who set up Pogba, who put in a good finish from the edge of the box to open his account for the season and make it 4-0. Good for Pogba to get off the mark as well. He's probably unfairly judged sometimes on the amount of goals and assists he gets, despite playing in the centre midfield position. But if he can do that as well, then why not? Second match, we played away to Swansea, and Swansea started okay. They were a tough team to break down, and we eventually did it with a bit of luck on the stroke of half-time. Paul Pogba's header, in typical Pogba fashion, hit the crossbar, as he was known to do a lot last season, and inexplicably the Swansea defender tried to shield the ball for his goalkeeper while it was bouncing on the line, and Eric Bailly, just no nonsense, got there first, put his foot in there, and got his first goal for United. Great for Bailly. Not the most stylish goal he'll ever score. Well, it might be. It's so far the only professional goal he's ever scored. So it might be his best goal. Maybe, hopefully he'll score better ones in the future. Second of all, well, we had to wait a long time for the second one. But we weren't really that threatened until then. But it was Lukaku who found himself in loads of space after another Mkhitaryan pass. And he took a touch for smashing into the corner. Really good finish. And then shortly after that, Mkhitaryan there again, playing in Paul Pogba, who put in a delicious chip over the goalkeeper to make it 3-0. Good stuff all around. And finally, there was time for Anthony Martial to make a good run at the defence on a counter-attack and then place into the corner to add a fourth. Finally, we faced Leicester City at home. Played alright, but Leicester, again, very defensively strong, and we found chances hard to come by, but we did eventually get a goal after Mata did have a goal ruled out for offside, perhaps very slightly offside, but it was given. A rebound after a good shot by Lukaku, but it was rightly offside. We then got a penalty in the second half after a handball by Danny Simpson following a cross by Martial, who was given the chance to start instead of Rashford following his 2 goals in the previous 2 games. Lukaku took the penalty and unfortunately missed it. The goalkeeper was off his line for the penalty before it was taken, but very rarely does that rule ever get enforced, and Lukaku probably should have done better. It wasn't the worst penalty in the world, but there was no disguising it. It was powerful, but Schmeichel knew where it was going and made a very good save. We pressed on and then we took the lead. Marcus Rashford scored from Henrik Mkhitaryan's corner. That relieved a lot of pressure off us, and we were able to push on and score a second with all 3 of our substitutes, Rashford being one of them. Rashford, Lingard and Fellaini all combining, with Fellaini being offside for his goal. Lingard's, I don't know if it was a shot or a cross, but it bounced off Fellaini and went in, but it was very close, and To be honest, I don't think we would have dropped points in this game anyway. Right, so moving on to our best 11. So apart from one game we started Martial instead of Rashford, this has been the team that Mourinho's put out for every match in the league so far. David De Gea in goal, no doubt. Probably, in my opinion, best goalkeeper in the world. Saved us countless times, fantastic reflexes, great shot stopper. And he's becoming greater at collecting crosses, and his distribution as well is great. His backup's not too bad. Goalkeeper Sergio Romero would probably start for most teams in the Premier League, so very happy with what we have there. Antonio Valencia at right back, solid player. You wouldn't think he was growing older. He's such a physical beast. He's got massive strength, massive speed, and he can run the right-hand side effectively on his own when players like Juan Mata, who play on the right, tend to cut inside. Valencia can cover the whole length of the pitch on his own. A player that will be very hard to replace, and one thing I'm worried about for the long-term future is how we're going to replace Valencia. Maybe it's Fosu Mensah. Let's see. Bailly and Jones have been absolutely immense at centre-back so far. We haven't conceded a goal in the league. And these two have read the game so well. The concentration levels have been incredible, and they just haven't let anything go past them. And you've had to feel sorry for players like Lindelof, who joined the club and don't even get an opportunity off the bench because these two are playing so well. Chris Smalling as well, been forced to stay on the bench. He's a decent enough backup. And of course, Rojo is still to come back from injury. So we're pretty good, well covered at centre-back. Daley Blind, probably our first choice left-back at the moment. Underrated player in my opinion, fantastic intelligence. He always picks the right pass, and his defensive positioning is suspect at times, but on the whole it's very good. And he offers a more defensive option than some of the offensive fullbacks that are out there at the moment. Nemanja Matic playing in the holding role. He's been absolutely incredible signing for Man United. We've been crying out for a good defensive midfielder for a long time. I mean, we've signed Bastian Schweinsteiger, Morgan Schneiderlin. We've tried playing under Herrera there, Marouane Fellaini, but I think Matic has been by far better than all of these players in that position. Just holds on to the ball so well. He can pick out short and long passes. He reads the game, intercepts it, and he can even run with the ball as well. He's a very good player. And partnering him is Paul Pogba. And the signing of Matic has definitely helped Pogba be more free, whereas last season he had to maybe do defensive responsibilities that he probably didn't want to do and was taking away from the attacking side to his game, which is what we have him for. But now he's able to put a stamp on games. He's got a fantastic passing range. Maybe he has the tendency to shoot from distance a bit too much. But, you know, he is good at it, and he will probably score a couple of long-distance goals this season. And I'm sure we're still to see the best of him. He needs to improve in big games, but apart from that, I'm okay with Pogba. On the wings, we have Juan Mata. So Mata, unconventional winger. He likes to cut inside a lot, and he generally just roams around the pitch and lets Valencia handle the right-hand side. Great passer though. Links up well with the rest of the team, and has a goal of 2 in him, so I'm very happy that Mata's playing, and he's such a gentleman off the pitch as well. A really good player to have at Man United. On the left, I put Marcus Rashford instead of Martial, although Martial scored more goals in less time. I feel like Rashford is overall the better player. He's physically stronger than Martial, and his build-up play I think is a lot better. But Martial is slightly more lethal up front and takes on defenders a bit better than Rashford does. I think on the whole Rashford's been better so far. And behind the striker, Henrik Mkhitaryan, 5 assists in 3 games. Doing good so far, and he's got the most chances created, as I'm about to show you in the Premier League this season. And I hope he continues on this form, maybe adds a few goals, but if he assists at ratios at more than 1 per game, I'm more than happy with that for the rest of the season. And finally, the big man up front, Romelu Lukaku. Yeah, he's definitely an improvement up front. It's probably a slight improvement to Zlatan Ibrahimovic, and he has slightly more pace and gets in behind defenders. Him and Ibrahimovic pretty much both good at bullying defenders and using his strength to hold them off. Lukaku maybe more lethal finisher. Ibrahimovic did score a lot of goals last year, but he did also miss quite a few. Hopefully Lukaku and Ibrahimovic will both be scoring a lot of goals next season. This season. Next season too. Alright, so some talking points. It is transfer deadline day today, and it's looking unlikely that Man United will make a move, but if we do make a move, it will most likely be for a winger. And the main candidates, we have Riyad Mahrez from Leicester, who is almost certainly going to be leaving Leicester today. But there are rumours that Man United Mourinho wants to sign him, but the board is not especially keen on it. And I've heard a lot of rumours that he's been spotted at a London airport or something, and he's about to move to Chelsea. Tottenham want him as well, Arsenal want him. It doesn't look like he'll move to Man United, to be honest. If we get Mahrez, it would be okay. I'd be alright with it. He's a decent player. But I'd much rather we wait and get Antoine Griezmann next season than get Mahrez now and then be overloaded with wingers next year. There are still rumours linking us with Gareth Bale, but he doesn't want to leave Real Madrid, even if Real Madrid might want him to leave and make way for Marco Asensio, who, by the way, looks one hell of a prospect, Asensio. Negotiating with Real Madrid's always a pain. So he probably wouldn't get Bale, even though he'd be a good sign. He's also a bit injury prone as well. Alexis Sanchez, last year of his contract at Arsenal, he'll be available for free if he doesn't leave Arsenal. And Man City are in for him, so I'll do absolutely anything to stop him from going to Man City. He's a fantastic player as well. He's got fantastic skill on the ball. He can pass, he can shoot, he can dribble. He's a great leader on the pitch as well, and he's a hard-working player. And to be honest, he deserves a lot better than Arsenal. I think he should be at Barcelona. He should be in the front three with Messi and Suarez right now, in my opinion. He's better than Dembele, but yeah. If Arsenal are willing to let him go, we need to try and get him. And if they don't sell him, then we need to be trying to get him for free next year. But unfortunately, because he does know Pep Guardiola, there is a chance he will go to Man City. Then there's Thomas Lemar, who's currently at Monaco. I don't think this one's very likely at all. Liverpool and Arsenal apparently want to sign him. And Monaco have already sold a lot of star players this season. And Mbappe looking like he's about to join PSG as well. So probably won't be leaving, and if he does, I think he's more likely to go to Liverpool. We already did take Martial from Monaco, so maybe that's one Monaco youngster too many if we get Lemar. Transfers out, probably not many, only a couple of loans. So there was a lot of rumours about Andreas Pereira, who Mourinho said before he has a role to play in the first team as a backup. He actually hasn't even been a substitute in any of our matches so far, but he has impressed me in pre-season. He seems to have matured a lot since his time under Louis van Gaal. He doesn't overcomplicate things on the ball. He's a good dribbler, he can pass it, and he links up pretty well with his teammates. That said, he's probably not going to get that much time in the team this season. So maybe a low move would be better for him. There were rumours he was going to Valencia. And then there were rumours about him being loaned out to Utrecht. However, both of those rumours have been squashed, really, and it looks like Pereira will be staying at United for this season. And instead of Pereira, apparently Utrecht actually asked Man United, can we have a player on loan? Pereira didn't want to go, and instead we sent them youngster Matty Willock, who I think was on the bench a couple of times last year and under Van Gaal, but hasn't played for us yet. So hopefully he'll get some good experience in the Dutch league. And I hope Pereira will get some chances maybe in the League Cup this season, if not in the first team for the Premier League. So some talking points then. Henrik Mkhitaryan, as I said before, he's got the most assists in the Premier League and the most chances created. 5 assists in his first Premier League game is actually a Premier League record, which equals, I think it was 1994, last time someone had 5 assists in their first 3 Premier League games in a season. And his chances created stat means he's creating chances constantly. It's not just getting the assists and that's it. He's actually always creating chances for his teammates, which is good to see. Of course, we haven't played against anyone too strong yet. West Ham, Swansea. Although Swansea have just signed Renato Sanchez from Bayern Munich. That's a big transfer. And apparently they're going to sign Boney from Man City, so maybe they'll get better. But the Swansea team we played against wasn't particularly good. West Ham have looked abysmal. Leicester look not that great, maybe okay. But I want to see how he plays against the Liverpools, the Arsenals, the Chelseas, the Cities, Tottenhams, etc. And also a lot of the chances he's creating happen to be in the second half when we're already ahead. So maybe in a match where we're not creating as much, we'll see if he's still able to unlock defences as readily as he has done. Most tackles and interceptions in the Premier League. You wouldn't guess that honour belongs to Timothy Fosu-Mensah. So he's on loan at Crystal Palace at the moment, who, as a team, are doing poorly, have lost all 3 of their matches in the bottom of the league. But Fosu-Mensah himself looks to be doing okay. We haven't played him at centre-back in the Premier League before. He's always been at right-back or sometimes defensive midfield. But he did play as a centre-back throughout his youth career at Man United. And yeah, having to defend more on a team like Crystal Palace will only give him more experience and stand him in good stead when he comes back to Manchester United. As I said, he's already impressed at right back in the past. Any player that can play in multiple positions will always be useful to a team. However, there are a couple of downsides. So his team is losing a lot of matches. Crystal Palace not doing well. Manager Frank de Boer is playing a style of play that doesn't suit Crystal Palace or the players at Crystal Palace at all. And if the team keeps losing, it might affect the guy's confidence. He might think he's responsible. And we might see a drop in his performance. I hope not. I expect Mourinho will be constantly in touch with him to check on his progress and pick him up if he's ever down. And also, if Frank de Boer does get sacked, if Palace continue with this poor run of form, the new manager might not see Fosu-Mensah as first choice centre-back. He might want to rely on more experienced players. Personally, I think that would be a huge mistake because he's a fantastic player. But it's possible. Players have been dropped for sillier reasons. Alright, so Serge Aurier, a right-back that was linked with Manchester United for a lot of this transfer window as perhaps a long-term replacement for Antonio Valencia, has indeed now joined Tottenham, which is a bit disappointing ability-wise, but Aurier is a bit of a troublemaker. He has been involved in several incidents. He made a throat-slitting gesture in an African Nations Cup game while playing for his country, I think. He was charged with assault on a police officer. He, of course, famously insulted his manager on a Periscope video, Laurent Blanc, an ex-Man United player himself, for his favoritism treatment of Zlatan Ibrahimovic. who of course is back at Man United, so that would be a bit awkward if he were to come back. And we are pretty covered at right back for this season. Valencia's there, and we've got Darmian and Tuanzebe to cover. Smalling can play there if need be as well. Fosu Mensah, who's out on loan, will be back next season. He might be the long-term replacement at the end for right back. Bad news about that is Tottenham, who needed a right back replacement for Kyle Walker, now have one, and he's a pretty good player as well. There's a reason he was playing at PSG, and he's a really good right back, and it was only his off the pitch problems that made PSG want to sell him. And yeah, it could have been a long-term replacement for Valencia. Maybe Fosu Mensah will step up. We shall see. Alright, Victor Lindelof. So this guy has found himself in a similar position to how Henrik Mkhitaryan was last year, in that he was well down the pecking order at the start of his career and had to work very hard just to get a place in the team. Phil Jones and Eric Bailly playing really well at the moment, so it's going to be very hard for Victor to find his spot on the team. He did look shaky as well in pre-season, perhaps needs some time to settle in with his new teammates. And at Old Trafford, a completely different environment to what he's used to at Benfica. But Mourinho, I think, will help him through it, just like he did with Mkhitaryan, Martial and Luke Shaw. And hopefully he'll come through it okay. But it does make you ask the question. We have Phil Jones, we have Bailly, we have Smalling, Rojo, Blind, and Fosu Mensah and Tuanzebe to come as well. Did we really need to buy Lindelof if he wasn't going to be a first-choice centre-back when we have at least 5 or 6 other good options at centre-back? Maybe he is that good and he'll become first-choice eventually, but for now it's okay to have doubts. Well, hopefully he proves me wrong. And if he doesn't get his chance in the team, his confidence, of course, is going to drop. And Mourinho might not play him as readily. Scott McTominay, a young midfielder who's just recently broken through our academy, has been linked with a loan move to Wolves. Not too much to say on this, other than that he'll get a lot of playing time at Wolves. However, we did send our left back Cameron Borthwick-Jackson on loan there last season, and he basically didn't play for Wolves. He played a couple of games and then was dropped for the rest of the season and was treated pretty badly there. So hopefully that wouldn't happen to Scott. But he looks like an okay player. I'm not sure if he'll ever make it to Man United first team quality, but we can at least sell him in the future and get some money out of him. Or maybe he is that good and he'll prove me wrong. He seems like a decent enough player. Alright, and August Player of the Month. There's so many candidates this month. It's been a fantastic month for Manchester United, winning all of our games, scoring loads of goals and not conceding. The official candidates are Phil Jones, Nemanja Matic and Paul Pogba. So for me, I think it should be Phil Jones. Phil Jones has been absolutely immense at centre-back. We haven't conceded once, and I think him and Matic are the main people it comes down to in the end. He's reading the game so well. I think that's a really underrated factor to his game, that he can read the game, he can get to the ball before the attacker does, he can intercept crosses before they reach the striker. And I think that side of his game has really improved, as well as his improvement off the ball as well. On the ball, he's improved a lot. He can control the ball and his distribution's improved. Maybe that's down to players like Matic and Pogba being more available for him, but he's definitely shown a lot of growth, and to me he's been the best United player this month. Closely followed by Matic. He's been a revelation so far, as I've explained. He gives everyone else the license to do what they want in attack, and he also does what he wants as well. He's quite capable of playing a great pass, hitting a good shot, or dribbling with the ball just as much as our attackers are, and yet he also protects the defence and allows Pogba to roam around the pitch and stamp his authority on the game. So that's great. And he's done that effectively so far. Hopefully he can continue that in the big games. And finally, Paul Pogba. Well, he's got 2 goals and a couple of assists as well, I think. And he's looking a lot better this season. He looks a lot more comfortable. Doesn't seem as anxious to prove himself as he was last year. Maybe the weight of no longer being the most expensive player has been lifted off his shoulders. One of his best friends, Lukaku, has joined. He's linking up with him and Martial. And he's good friends with everyone at the club. It's great to see that Pogba is settling back in at Old Trafford. And hopefully this is the start of a great year for him. But yeah, out of these 3, I think he's definitely third. But that's no mean feat either. Also, Mkhitaryan, unlucky that he's not in this list after his 5 assists in 3 games. But I mean, everyone's played so well this month. You could say they're all unlucky not to be in the top 3. Anthony Martial's got a couple of goals and assists. Eric Bailly has been solid at the back as well. It's been a great month, and hopefully there is more to come. And finally, just before I close off this video, there's some other miscellaneous news. So, as you can see from the picture on your left, Louis van Gaal was presented a plaque for managing 100 matches in the Champions League at part of this elite coach conference. And it was, of course, Sir Alex Ferguson presenting him that plaque. I just thought that was interesting. United managers old and new. Good news for travelling away fans. United will be paying for fan visas for fans who have tickets for United's away match against CSKA Moscow in the Champions League. That I did forget to mention. Of course, we are back in the Champions League this year. Our group is Benfica, Basel, and CSKA Moscow, which we really should be topping that group. There were a couple of tricky games in there, but overall we should have enough to come first in that group. And finally, ex-United player, too old for a lot of United fans, too old for me. Andrei Kanchelskis is releasing a book. I think it's an autobiography. I think I've read a little bit of it. It's an interesting story about how he started and how he got into football. And his early life seems pretty interesting, but yeah, that's just a public service announcement there. But that's going to be it for this Man United season preview. Hope you enjoyed, and hopefully I'll do this again sometime. See ya.